operation is used as a political talking point over and over again.
But here's the
Vice
thing,
President talking about putting him on bumper
We've had, since the Vietnam War, the consistent refrain has been Republicans are the daddy party, Democrats are the mommy party. Republicans are strong, robust, Democrats are soft and weak and want to negotiate, want to apologize. It's simply not true. We're stronger, we're safer. Barack Obama has been a very robust, muscular foreign policy. And as George said earlier, what's happened in the Middle East has lots of factors and lots of causes underneath. It has nothing to do with rhetoric from Washington.
George, to Russ's list of muscular actions by the president, you could add the use of drones, which has been extremely aggressive, more aggressive both in the number of attacks and the places where the attacks are made than under George W. Bush. I really do not think it's fair to fault the president for throwing Israel under the bus, as they say. Granted, he has a bad relationship with my good friend Netanyahu, but the relationships between the U.S. military and the Israeli military, which is 98% of the point of this relationship, are quite good. But politically, our profession, graphic journalism with all these pictures of things in flames, tends to give the country the sense that the world is somehow in chaos. The world's always dangerous and all that, but the chance of dying on this planet from organized state violence is lower than it has been since the 1920s.
It's the disorganized state violence, I think, or non-state violence that everyone's worried about when they look at a map and see protests in 20 different places.
Yes, but it beats the heck out of wars.
But with respect to the state of Israel, George, look, you're in a situation now, in the last 48 hours, the President of the United States reportedly has offered to meet with the Muslim Brotherhood president of Egypt, who, at a minimum, allowed the attack on our embassy, and has refused to see Benjamin Netanyahu. There's simply no way that you can claim that that relationship is not strained.
It is unpresidential peevishness, I take that point.
And given the fact that Israel's facing an existential threat, which is also a threat to the U.S. with respect to a nuclear-armed Iran, and frankly, the one effective program that we may have had in place that would have been able to slow or stop that nuclear program, the Stuxnet cyber warfare activity, which according to the New York Times, members of the President's National Security Team leaked to them.
Well,
so this President's
say,
record is clearly
I asked this question about refusing to meet with Netanyahu. I'm not in the administration, so I wasn't part of this, but I asked it. I don't think there's been any direct request to meet, and I don't think there's been a refusal. There's daily contact between Israeli government officials in the United States. Secretary of State Clinton has been out there meeting people. We know very well the positions on all sides, the uncertainties, the intelligence, the information is shared, planning is shared. It's very close. This is a question of the best way to bring this Iranian program to a halt.
And on that subject, George Stephanopoulos interviewed Mitt Romney this week and asked about the red lines, where the U.S. will draw the line in the Iranian nuclear program, nuclear weapons program alleged, before acting, and here's that exchange.
The red line going forward is the same.
Yes, and I recognize that when one says that it's unacceptable to the United States of America, that means what it says. You'll take any action necessary to prevent that development, which is Iran becoming nuclear.
George, where does Prime Minister Netanyahu want this red line to be publicly drawn? We've heard so much about this red line. President Obama has not stated what it is. Mitt Romney has not stated what it is. What does Bibi want?
I'm not sure what he wants, because I'm not sure how you draw red lines when you can't have confidence, not from incompetence, but just the limits of knowledge, confidence in our intelligence system. Last March, in an interview with Jeffrey Goldberg of The Atlantic, President Obama said, our intelligence service will give us a pretty long lead time in understanding where Iran is. Our intelligence services did not predict India's testing of a nuclear weapon, Pakistan's testing, didn't predict North Korea's. So I think he may have a faith in the ability of our intelligence services to draw lines and put down markers as to where the Iranian program is that we simply actually don't have.
And General Clark, does the president, I mean, is it in the president's interest to publicly state what the red line is? Doesn't that mean that he then has to go to war?
He's not going to state a red line. There probably are several different indicators, and there's going to be a margin for uncertainty because everyone understands that intelligence, as George said, is not precise. It's been sharpened up a lot. It's clearly a subject of focus that we didn't have on India and Pakistan, so that's not, it's not a direct comparison. We're doing better on that intelligence, but he's going to have, no president can publicly declare red lines. That surrenders his decision-making authority. He's going to evaluate a number of factors. He's been very clear, they're not going to get a nuclear weapon. He says it's unacceptable. He's decisive. Osama bin Laden found that out. And if I were the Iranian leaders, I'd be very concerned.
So do we know what Mitt Romney was saying in that interview with George when he said he agreed with the president that there should be a red line? If we don't know what the president's red line is, and Mitt Romney and his advisors have said in the past that they actually agreed more with Bibi Netanyahu, was Mitt Romney again backing away, getting softer on this issue in agreeing with the president?
I think the key on the intelligence here, it wasn't just India that we missed. It was also, frankly, Syria, the nuclear power plant that was being built in the Syrian desert, which was in 2007 that the Israelis came to us and said, here we have it. On Iraq, the Israelis had better intelligence than we did about the development of that nuclear program. I think George is right on this one. I think that our own intelligence has not been very effective at identifying and predicting where other nations stand in this.
I'm still trying to figure out how President Romney would be different. I think if he's agreeing with the president
one issue, it seems to me the problem the Israelis have here, number one, I think they understand American intelligence is probably not as good as theirs is in predicting. Number two, they don't believe this president. They don't take him at his word. So the president says, you know, I'm not going to allow this, and then the chairman of the Joint Chiefs is traveling around saying, gosh, the worst thing that could happen would be an Israeli strike. I think the Israelis would understand with the President Romney that he actually means what he says, that we're not going to allow, frankly, nuclear capability. It's not just waiting to get a weapon, it's the capacity to have that weapon.
I want to switch topics right now to a hardening we've seen in conventional wisdom about the state of Iraq, of the election. We've seen in Friday